I'm gonna get back to that story, Sonny. Just, just you listen to Boomer, Great One. He's gonna tell you about how it was back in the olden days, back before fire, back when we walked uphill for everything. In fact, we didn't even have a concept of downhill because there was no downhill. Everything was uphill. We thought that was normal. We didn't even have a word for it because there was no alternative. It was uphill all the time. You just need to reach down and grab yourselves by your bootstraps and pull yourselves up, Sonny. Because when I was your age, I bought a house for $25,000. And I made that money on my paper route and bussing tables at the local cafe. And if I could do it, you can do it too. You just need to reach down and pull yourself up and just buckle up there, buckaroo. God, I hate boomers.
I don't know who needs to hear this. I like those. This is such a wonderful, past 50 years, certainly more intense the past 20, where everyone's living lies and we got to protect everyone's fifis. America, a nation of fraggy vaggies with the fucking fifis, come more important than reality. So, you guys know I like the nerd shit. I just love the numbers, man. So, there was a video game, Veilguard. That's the one I've been talking about because it's recently in the news. And it's just fucking... Guys, why don't you tune into the good news? Oh, my God, I can't believe Trump this or Democrats that. Tune into the good news. Watch all these woke fucking posers have their lives fall apart before them. Because they're... Oh, shock. People don't want their shit. They're trash. And that's what it is. What they produce is trash. No one wants it. And like Bubbles, all that. It's like watching Salmon Blankfield, Feeman Blankenstein, whatever the guy with the who got arrested and is facing lifetime in jail because of the crypto fraud. It's not like they're going to jail, but it's like, oh yeah, you lied. You tried to scam reality. You thought you were above reality, and you were arrogant on top of it. Good, we're all laid off. I love it. Tune into the good news. But the numbers. So there's this video game, Veilguard, Dragon Age Veilguard. And the studio, I don't think the studio is going to last. They were at 320 employees at their peak. They're down to 100 last week, or maybe just a couple days ago. They fired all their writers. Lord knows how much of the actual real staff that has talent and skills. But they wrote off all the entire writing staff is gone. And the irony, the tragedy of Veilguard is they spent at least 10 years and $250 million, $250 million on creating this game, right? Now, I'm not a computer programmer. I'm not a computer guy. But the screenshots I've seen of it, and just to program a video game, that's got to take a lot of effort, right? I don't know how to make characters move. I don't know 3D modeling. I know none of that. But it's got to take a lot. And no matter what you might think of the actual game of Dragon Age Veilguard, it took a lot to create just the basics of the video game, right? Movement, the graphics of the characters' faces, the battle mechanics, hit points, magic points. Someone swings their sword, Hoyle, with the fangs and the claws. Yeah, that takes a tremendous amount of skill, real skill and talent, like the nerds, the developers, not the writers. So you got 10 years, you got canon. This is number 4, I think, in a series of 4. 10 years of people's lives, $250 million. And the game, itself, could have been good, right? But you got one thing wrong. And that was the story, right? It's 99.8% of the game is done in terms of actual work and labor. But then that critical 0.2%, right, is whether it's going to be good or not. It's, I guess, no different than a house. My buddy, realtor, He's like, you know, the number one thing in selling a house? I'm like, stupid me. I don't know, good quality construction. No, color. Wifey Poo wants a red house. It's a red house. Well, that's 1% of the entire. Yeah, it doesn't matter. What kind of car you want? Color. I insist on the color I want, and not or, and a good engine underneath the hood. That's just me. But it's color. Because wifey Poo wants. But if you don't got the right color, that car, house, whatever, it's aesthetic, I'll admit that, it don't sell. And it dawned on me like, man, you had $250,000, 10 years in development, Lord knows how many thousands of hours. I mean, how many human hours went into that? And because you got the color wrong, you got an aesthetic wrong, it's a complete waste. You lost money. You could have taken that money and donated it to leftist causes, like, actually helping the poor, or training them with real skills, like, become computer programming developers and mechanics, not writers, because you're all unemployed now. But there are crops to pick, I hear, over in California. Another game you might not be aware of is a game called Concord. If you didn't hear about it, don't worry, nobody did. That was a $400 million investment. Now there, some of it was the writing, but it was more the actual characters they developed, because they were developed by frankly, a white male hating woke mob that created. Were all the bad guys white guys, or am I confusing that with movies? There wasn't a single white guy in the main characters, and all the characters look like some pothead who had a hate boner for people who work for a living and white males. Just made the wokest, ugliest, most freakish looking main characters you could choose from. And nobody wanted it. That's ugly. We don't want that. We're not going to play that. And there was $400 million gone. The game might have played great. The guns might have been wonderful. The movement, everything. It could have been a great game, but you screwed up that one key thing. You screwed it up. And I believe the same happened to Star Wars Outlaws. Although I heard the game was, functionally, the game was crap. There were a lot of bugs. But they took a character and made him an ugly woman. And surprise, no one wants to play the ugly woman. As it falls on deaf ideologue ears who are quickly losing all their funding and all their hiring and all their positions of power. But it's you go through all this extent, right? I like watching Plainly Difficult. It's a great YouTube channel. You should check it out. He does disaster reviews. Like, he goes through disasters in history, essentially. And, well, why did the dam fail? And the number of times they go and spend all this money on a dam, right? But then whatever, the rebar guy, instead of having 10 millimeter rebar, he had 9 millimeter rebar, and he saved himself a whole $50,000. Well, that 10 millimeter rebar going down to 9 through the laws of physics resulted in the entire fucking bridge or dam collapsing, and the entire amount of, like, just a 1% fuck up cost everything. And it's the same with writers. It's the same with writers. You guys got to get the color right. You got to go 10 millimeter rebar, not 9. You guys have got, it's not, I'm going to make my point, it's not as important as you think it is, but you got to have the right writers. You got to have the right plot. And whereas the evidence I'm pointing to shows you how bad writing can ruin a video game, or any project for that matter, the more important point that I'm trying to make is not about good or bad writers. My point is, you're a video game. You don't need writers. Okay? The reason why is because it's a game and not a book. It's not a movie, where it's a game. It's not a story. All right? People want to play the game. I'll give you another perfect example where it was way too much fucking story. You had way too many fucking English majors who should all be picking crops right now. Cyberpunk 2077. I was like, okay, I heard this is refurbished. This is a good game now. I'm gonna go and play it. And you know what? It was a good game. It was better. I wouldn't say it was excellent. It was very good though. I really liked playing it. There was just one tiny problem. Nobody would shut the fuck up. All these NPC characters, to get to the next mission, I got to talk to a guy for like 3 minutes. And then I gave up on it when I don't know how many of you played the game, but in order to get another job, you're kind of like a mercenary in this game. You got to go talk to the boss. So you go talk to the boss and you're in his limo. I think it was a 10-minute conversation. And then on top of it, you got a girlfriend that's always texting you and emailing you. So you'd be in the middle of a game, even talking to someone, and all of a sudden a text comes in. I'm like, wow, they must have had married men and real people in real life do this, because that's what happens in the real world. Number one. And no one's gonna know where that dance goes. I'm replicating somebody where he goes, number one. I'd be curious if anyone gets that reference. What was I talking about? Oh, nagging wife video game, like you made it too real. You couldn't play Cyberpunk 2077. You have them all these dialogue choices. I'm like, holy fucking shit. I just want to go and play a game where I get to kill the bad guys and do some investigative work. I want to live in this 2077 futuristic cyberpunk world. Can I do that, please? No, I got to listen to 8 fucking subplots going on in this movie. That's what it was. It ended up becoming a movie where occasionally you got to press a button. You should be creating games, not books, not movies. And whereas some video games require an arc, so you know generally what you're doing, you just can't have the show up and kill shit show. You know, like, why are I just start killing shit? Why? Yeah, you gotta have a motivation. You gotta sell me a little bit. But it doesn't have to be any deeper than the girl dressing up in a naughty nurse outfit, right? She doesn't have to go get a PhD in nursing and know all the fucking intricacies. She just got to go to some fucking website and get the $5 cheap slutty outfit of the naughty nurse, put it on. There you go. You got your little that's all. That's the level. If you need you can use that. I'll let you guys have that one for free. For those of you in the video game, like, how much character depth do we need? How about a $12 naughty nurse outfit? That's a nurse over there. That's good enough for me. I'm motivated. You sold me on the plot. I think the best example, like the right amount of right, and this might even be a little story heavy. I love the Battlefield Bad Company series. There's 2 of them: Battlefield Bad Company, Battlefield Bad Company 2. It was 99% playing the game and 1%. Oh, here are the cutscenes, so you know why you're doing this mission. And even with that limited amount, the other thing is they thought about the characters before they developed them for the cutscenes, because there's 4 different. It's a great game. It's just 4 guys, just normal guys, different characters. They meld well. So by the time I was done with Battlefield 2, Bad Company 2, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the 3rd one. They left it open for the 3rd one. There's no 3rd one. What happened to all the characters I kind of got invested in? And the writing wasn't wasn't going to win a Pulitzer, and it didn't have to, because it's a fucking game. And then, of course, they didn't have Battlefield Bad Company 3. I don't know why. All good things come to an end, I guess. But yeah, you don't, and this is my point. And I said it before in a video or 2 before. You don't need writers in video games. You don't. You nerds can write the story yourself. It doesn't have to be that deep. It doesn't have to be that good. I mean, you got to use the right words and all that. But you do not need to hire, quote, professional writers. Because here, let me give you some inside baseball. Okay, let me explain to you what happens when you hire professional writers. Let's go back to when the writers were 17. Why 17, Aaron? Because that's when they decide whether or not they're going to work for a living. You wonder why journalists are fucking assholes and lazy pieces of shit and no one ultimately likes them? Why they're all not attractive or overweight, just put no effort. No one goes to the gym. Have you noticed that? They haven't been eating their Wheaties. It's because journalists are lazy. It's not a journalist. That's a lazy person who at 17 decided, I don't want to try hard, but I'm an egomaniac. And I want to tell people what to think. I'm going to become a journalist. What do you think a writer is? Professional writer. Whether it's a journalist, which is a professional writer, or someone who went into literature or majored in English. I don't give a fuck what they say. I don't give a fuck how many fake created awards they have, and it's all linked on the LinkedIn and all that. At the end of the day, you are hiring a 17-year-old who didn't want to work for a living. You're hiring a lazy person. This is why the irony is when you see someone like, I set out to be an author. I set out to be a writer. I set out to be a journalist. I set out to be a playwright. Is they fucking suck because they're not playwrights, journalists, or whatever else. They're lazy people who didn't want to do math. That's it. And lazy people don't live challenging lives. They don't live self-supporting lives. They don't live lives of trial and error. I mean, their entire careers usually are failures, but they never learn from it. And they're supremely hubristic. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm only an author. And there's another thing. Yeah, I'm an author. I flunked out of 7th grade English. I didn't intend it to become this way. I went and did different things. It only is through a weird combination of events, namely reading The Economist in the 1990s, having to write reports as an underwriter, and then writing my blog. None of it was, I'm going to become a writer someday. I'm like, who does that? That's stupid. What am I going to write about? I'm not even old enough to write about it. I'm 17. I want to write about my trans journey in middle school. And I need $250 million. Oh, you're giving me $250 million? This is not happening again. Hey, theater kids, this ain't happening again. I hope you saved your money. Yeah, it's over. This is the first and only time they gave you theater kids the money. This is the first and only time they give you guys the keys to the kingdom, and they fucked it up. Writing about your fucking selves. It'll never happen again. It's never going to happen again where the theater kids get the money. Like, hey, remember that time we gave our 14-year-old son like the house for 3 weeks and the keys to the car and a bottle of whiskey for him and his friends? Didn't turn out so well. That's like, it's the same thing. You guys gave the theater kids billions of dollars. Oh my God, who could have thought this was going to happen? But more importantly, for the video game companies, not the fake ones who are owned by Microsoft and all you big bureaucratic worthless jokes. It's over for you guys. What did you spend on Activision Microsoft? What was it, $70 billion? I know it's pocket change for you guys. Going forward, for anyone serious about creating video games, for the video game programmers, for the developers, for you guys who are the video games, you can write the script yourself. You know why? Because it's not that high of a hurdle. Because you're supposed to be making a game, not a book, not a story, not a movie. And when you're given the choice, well, let's say, Cappy, I'm not too sure about my writing skills. I'm kind of a nerdy guy. Unless, I hate to say it, but he's a friend. Unless you're Joker, a Better Bachelor, who legitimately can't write to save his life. Love him like a brother. Oh my, he said, I'm horrible at writing it because he wrote an intro for my book. I'm like, oh, come on, just write. You're fine. Da, da, da. And then I got it. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, he wasn't joking. I'm like, what? And I said, I edited it. Like, well, how about this? And he's like, can you just edit it for me? And I'm like, okay. All right. So aside from that one guy out of the 8 billion people who legit cannot write, okay, you nerds, you programmers, you can write. You can write a good enough story because we're not focusing so much on the story. It's just got to be good enough, man. We're focusing on the game. As long as you program a good game and the plot isn't propagandist, it's not trying to make a fucking point, it's not talking down to the audience, you're not lecturing or sermoning them. It's just, hey, let's go get the gold. Okay, cool. Grab the guns. Let's go, gang. Hey, as long as it's that $12 French maid outfit, that's convincing enough. It is. And then if you still don't have the confidence, like, look, I'm really bad at writing. I'm very bad at writing. You don't hire, right? You do not hire professional writers. What you really ought to do is you go find someone who writes a book or someone who, when you're emailing them back and forth, you're like, wow, they write really well. Their emails are succinct and cogent and thorough, yet at the same time. That's what I would do is I just go hire somebody who is not a professional writer, but writes, a normal person with a normal job. A nurse, yeah, an actual nurse. Go hire a real nurse. Go hire your buddy who's an accountant. Go hire normal people who, when they were 17, chose a real profession because they were sane. And their defining trait wasn't laziness and work avoidance. And they said, but I'm not a writer. Say, I don't care. You're an adult who has real world working experience. You've written emails, you've written reports. I know this is going to sound obscure. You want to find some good writers? Go find underwriters, commercial underwriters at banks. Why is that, Cappy? Because those guys and gals got to write a synopsis of essentially what's a story, which is the story of the company and why the company needs a loan and why we should or should not lend it to the company. It's boring, tedious work. I hated it. Overview. Dude, can we just spread their fucking financial statements? I calculate some numbers. Like, what does it matter what the story is? Bob Bobson of Farming Corporation, Inc. started his firm back in 1912. Then his wife divorced him. He started another. It's like, just can we look at the guy's credit report and that's it? Anyway, the point is they have a lot of experience writing book reports essentially on companies that would like loans. And though incredibly boring work and not really important to underwriting, it would give them the skills to just write up, oh yeah, Battlefield Bad. What is so Battlefield Bad Company 2? That's where they got to go after the Japanese version of the nuclear bomb. And then Battlefield Bad Company 1, that's basically just a remake of Kelly's Heroes, where they're going after the gold before the Russians invade. Very simple plot. And it worked. It worked. But they should be able to write a plot like that. They should be able to come up with, oh, no, the bad guy, not the bad guy. Yeah, the bad guy. Ah, crap, the bad guy. We better do something about it. Well, here you go, Sergeant Johnson. Here's your rifle, and you go stop the bad guy with these 3 quirky characters. This guy likes to play billiards. The other guy, he's fascinated with fish. He's got an aquarium. And the third guy, he's a retired porn star who joined the military. Look, I just made it better than any fucking professional writer you've ever hired. Do you want to play a game like that? There's an aquarium guy, an ex-porn star, and then what did I say the other guy did? I forgot what it was. You guys can replace the writers. Nerds can replace the writers. Normal, everyday people make better writers than the professional writers. I mean, hell, if you want, I'll go. You want a script? You need something? Hire me. I'll probably do it cheaper and it won't fucking suck. And surprise here for you wokey real writers, it won't be about me. He was a short yet handsome and clean cut 50-year-old. God, I'm old. Who liked hiking and motorcycle riding and playing video games. He was the greatest thing ever, was the hero of the world. And chicks with big boobs and red hair loved him. It would not be that. It'd be the aquarium guy, the porn star and the aquarium guy, and the third guy who I already forgot. So and then they go on some cool adventure. And you know what? I won't worry. The more I think about it, that's way too. It's just like, yeah, let's just go with it. Here's a simple plot, and then it would be a fun game, and that's all you need. So going forward, please, do you want to make games or do you want to make propagandist leftist horseshit that comes from every professional writer? Never hire writers. You don't need writers. Just work a little bit of extra time, talk to some normal buddies, talk to anyone but writers and journalism majors. And then you'll save a lot of money. And not only will you save a lot of money, I wonder what the writing budget was. Really, like what's the writing budget? And if you get rid of them, you save some money. And then guess what? Now that one critical part of the game was not controlled by ideologues who have no problem ruining the product because what's of ultimate importance to them is their ideology, you might actually have some sales next time. It's really, $400 million, $250 million. Man, that's like a Ferrari that you painted brown. Like you just spray painted it. Like that's what happened. And even a simple coat of paint, not even a super high-end one, just a good coat of paint would have been better than the fucking graffiti dog shit that's been storylines in these video games now. Let's go to super chats. Hat and Clogs, $5. Cappy hating on gamers, but don't you dare touch his sports ball and wings brought. No, okay, no, you have it you have it opposite. I like gaming. I like gamers. I do not like the sports ball. Sports ball is not, I like playing sports ball. I like playing sports. Yeah. I do not like watching the sports ball and wings brawl. God, I can't wait for that culture to die out. I don't know how it's gonna, but I'm gonna be okay if wings and beer during the game brawl. I'll be okay where everyone's like, it's Sunday night football, and no one gives a shit. No one cares. It's the NBA playoffs. No one cares. Generation Alpha would be like, yeah, we're just going to play our video games. They weren't written by 38-year-old masters in English spinsters. We're playing porn star and aquarium guy in the land of the lost MILFs. There you go. There it is. Is it hard? Reed Schwartzer, $2. Disagree. Love my JRPG because the stories are great. All right, but let me ask you, Reen, how much writing actually goes into those? Take Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior. Not the first ones because, 8-bit, they didn't have it. Or Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy 7. There is a story. I'm fine. I guarantee you, if you go through the writing, it's not as involved as you think. Yes, and in RPGs, you do need to have a plot, and there is an element like I think, boy, the best I've seen that done was Three Houses, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. A lot of talking there, but they did it good. That's the only one I've seen where they did it good. Otherwise, if we were to take Final Fantasy 7, right? How much was there? I don't think there was like 10 hours of dialogue. There was not a full-length feature film. There was enough to have a plot going along and for you to appreciate the development of the characters. But I doubt it was anything more than 2 to 3 hours. Although some of these RPGs are going on forever, so I could see it being more. Reen, $2. American writers just sucks. That's the issue. Right. It's writers, American professional writers. If you just hired Reen, guarantee Reen, you should just like start your own video game writing company. Reen's writing. Yeah, there you go. And whatever you come up with, as long as it's, not too stupid, it makes sense. That's it. That's all you need. It's not that hard. All right, link below if you guys are interested. I have a link to all my books because I am a writer. Didn't plan on it, but that's a good sign. All my books on Amazon, the personal financial management books, so they're not fun or exciting, but they'll make it so you ain't poor. They won't guarantee you're rich, But if you do what's in those books, you'll be po no mo. Also linked below, if you don't like my books, I got links to my courses, which are also generally the same. Courses on personal financial management. There's a link to my Amazon affiliate link if you want to go and buy shit this weekend. I get a 5% cut. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You can go and do that too and do it for the rest of your life. So how did he die? He died wealthy because he had a bunch of people doing his Amazon affiliate thing. There's a link to my membership podcast. That's fancy. That's elite. It's through Subscribe Starts, $2 a month. You get access to the Road Trip podcast, which I got to upload one here. It's been a while. And then I don't know, there's some other stuff. Thaddeus McDuck the fourth. $2. Follow your heart and the money will follow. Right. Dude, I am so surprised that bubble lasted that long. That these writers, if you were paying attention to any of some of these writers have been writing for 15, sometimes even 20 years. I'm like, dude, you are so lucky. It doesn't usually go that way. I hope you saved your money, but it's over now. It is over. You cannot write the leftist woke horse shit anymore. If you want, go start a blog or a podcast. You could do all the leftist woke horse shit and maybe you make some money that way. But the days where you're going to get a $250 million budget and we're going to smear your leftist feces all over this Ferrari, that's over. No one's giving the theater kids money anymore. Mike Truth, the king. He was ahead of his time. # life coach of the world. Truth? No. See, what's going to happen, I know what you guys are going to do because you're going to be dicks like that. I'm going to die. And when I'm unable to do anything about it, you're going to change my legacy, right? Because I won't be here to defend you. Like, he was a life coach and ahead of his time. And he was a graduate of the Carlson School of Management. You're going to make it all sound like that was great. I'll be turning in my grave. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.